Welcome to the Future 3 podcast.
Boom.
I'm Sean,
I'm Shaylin.
And I'm Cyan.
and we are the Future 3 podcast.
If you have ever picked up a copy of People, scrolled through InStyle, or gone down a rabbit hole of Birdie looking up skincare or style tips, today we have the person who oversees the revenue strategy behind all of those brands. This person is a chief revenue officer of the beauty, style, and entertainment group at People Inc., and she has been building her career in media for over 23 years. Please welcome to the Future 3 podcast, Mrs. Melissa Guy.
Hi, guys.
Hi.
Thanks for
Welcome.
having me.
Yeah, of course. I'm excited to get to learn about your journey and what you do because I see you do some pretty cool stuff online.
Yeah.
It's Instagram life, but it's pretty cool. It's pretty cool.
Yeah.
So your career seems like the classic highlight reel, but most people don't know the blood, sweat, and tears it takes to get those moments on the red carpets or the celebrity parties or even the Oscars.
Like
Especially mom, yep.
hmm
So we are very excited to dig into your career today.
Yeah, for sure. You've worked at Cosmopolitan, Refinery 29, and now you run revenue for major media brands.
Wow.
So I'm going to play a little game with you here that I like to call cover, collab, and cancel. I'm going to give you 3 celebrities. You have to pick which one you want to put on a magazine cover, which one you want to build a campaign with, and which one you just want to completely cut out from the issue.
Oh, my Lord. Okay.
So let's go with Selena Gomez, Hailey Bieber, and Kylie Jenner. What are your thoughts on those 3?
Okay. Cover Selena Gomez. I adore her. Collab. I freaking love Hailey Bieber too. So I would definitely want to do something cool with her. And I'm obsessed with
Nice.
road. I hate to say it. Kylie Jenner, you're out.
What?
Oh, oh man.
I don't know.
That's
By the way, I
maybe
think she's
controversial in there
get me wrong. She's phenomenal. But
Yeah.
you're really asking my opinion. That's my order.
for sure.
Okay.
I like that. That was good.
All right, so none of this started in the boardroom. Let's go back to the beginning of high school. Who were you, and was any of this even on your radar?
That is, it's such a good question. So, high school, I actually am a local girl at Jersey. I went to Red Bank Catholic High School,
Oh.
and I was a pretty good student. I came from, my family, I come from immigrant parents, studying, working hard, and it's very different now. I think like a lot of the times you look at our students today and they're very well-rounded. My parents truly were, schoolwork first. So I remember cheerleading was really the only thing that I did after school. So I was a pretty good student. I was a cheerleader, and I would tell you the one thing that I would say sort of like was the through line and probably makes sense why people that know me, I've been in media forever, is I was a massive magazine fan. I loved magazines. So back then I loved Cosmo, although I was not allowed to read it, but I did it anyway. We used to have YM, a lot of, teen magazines back then was the thing. And I remember just grabbing them, piling them on, asking my parents to buy it for us. I think that I always say when I tell people my story, my journey, like that's, I think, started my love for what I would say is now media. I just didn't know it. I was just a fan. I was a consumer like you, like loving something so much. And back then it was magazines. And I think that really, started sort of my journey. Then as I went, I went into college, and again, no one really told me, there was no career fair that said, hey, do you want to go into media sales, right? Or publishing? It didn't exist. So I think magazines really was the start of that.
So
mean-
what would magazines be like in today's world? Would it be like, because I know I haven't seen a magazine since maybe like our old house when I was like 5 or 6 years old. But like, what would that be now? Would that be like media apps like e-news or?
I think the new currency, right, of what was magazines. Although I will say, guys, magazines still exist.
Oh wow, I didn't know that.
And they're pretty I think it depends on probably your generation and maybe what you love, but there's a lot of really good magazines. But I would say, to answer your question, the new magazine currency is social media. I mean, that's really what everyone, consumes, how they get their information, all the different platforms, right? So some people still have Instagram, some people, are TikTok fans, some people are massive Pinterest fans. Like, I think that, has really truly become the new currency that was magazines. But I will say there's something very still, and again, generation, right? Different generations. I think there's something very still tangible that people love about magazines, like picking up a magazine, reading a magazine on the beach, like reading a book. Like there's something tangible about, still that experience. But
Yeah, I know.
yeah, everything is so immediate these days that it's social.
And like speaking on that, the different generations, our grandpa still uses magazines, and then I see him just cutting out
Mhm.
discount codes from there.
Okay.
So when you were in high school, you were always into beauty, style, and media. But were there any classes or clubs or moments that were like pointing you into that direction without you knowing?
In high school, no. And
Oh,
I actually would, I'm curious because I know different times, right? Different generations. When I went to high school and I loved RBC, it was a great experience. It really set me up for college. But I would say not high school, it was really college. That's really where I started to get into specific classes around advertising, PR. I wasn't, I was young, so I wasn't sure which angle I was going to take, but it wasn't until college that I got that experience.
were you kind of like a go-getter chasing everything you wanted, or were you just like living your life figuring out what you wanted to do as you got through it?
No, I think I was always a go-getter at heart. I will tell you with my experience, and again, my parents were hardworking immigrants that came to this country. And so for me, I just remember always in my head being like, I need to work hard. I need to make money. Like I need to go to college. Like there was a very set, sort of journey that was preset for me. And I just remember like always, it didn't take much to motivate me because I saw my parents and how hard they worked to even give us basic opportunities. And I just wanted more, and one day, obviously, when I had a family, I wanted more for them. So I think I was always a go getter at heart. I used to tell a funny story that when I was in college, I wanted to get a job. My parents said, no, just I need you to study. I need you to get good grades. That's your job. Right. But I remember like I sort of had a circle of friends and most of them were very, they're very privileged in a good way. So they could afford to go out every day and just spend money on bags and clothes. And I just remember like I didn't have that. But when my parents would give me money for food to stock up on food and books, I would actually spend it on that because I just refused to not be able to do the things that everyone else did. And I think, again, those are the things that motivated me. And I was like, when I get out of college, I'm getting a job and I'm making money. So it was always instilled in me.
Yeah, for sure. I feel like that's been a common theme. It's pretty amazing from immigrant families where like the parents are always setting a high standard for their kid to, work as hard as they possibly can because they know the potential of what could possibly happen if you put your full effort into it and you just go 100% because, they had to work really hard just to make a living out here in America. So
Right.
I feel like that's pretty amazing on how they are able to set pretty amazing examples to their kids about how hard it is to, just make a living in this country.
That's right.
Yeah.
Absolutely. It's just, I always say it's an experience that defines you, right? It really does define you. And it really defined me and who I am today.
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of like our parents. They had immigrant parents too. And my mom always tells this story that our grandma used to like, she would work the whole entire day. It didn't matter if she was sick or something. She would work no matter what because she wanted her kids to have a good life. And
That's
she
right.
wanted to set an example for her kids too. Is that
That's
kind of
right.
what motivated you to keep pushing and keep working towards your goals?
Yeah. I mean, now I'm a mom. I have two kids, right? I have a 10-year-old girl. You
Yeah.
guys have met my kids,
Mhm.
Maya and
Yeah.
Mason. And it's the biggest motivator. And it's very interesting that like people will ask, like what motivates you? Like you've been in the business so long, you've been doing your career, you have a career. And people assume oh, it's money, it's the perks, right? The benefits, all these things. And by the way, all part of it, but what truly motivates me and will continue to motivate me, I believe, until I retire is my family because I want to be able to give my family the opportunities, right? That my parents worked super hard to give me the opportunities. I want to do better, even better for my family. As you all know, it's very competitive, very hard.
Yeah.
So that's my true motivator. It's my family.
That's amazing because, you're a mom, so like all your kids rely on you, and it's awesome to see that them relying on you is your motivating factor to, strive in your industry.
Yeah, and they also look up to you because I feel like all kids look up to their parents to see what they do because they want to follow their lead because they're really your idols.
Yeah, for sure. Just letting you know, even though the kids may not say directly that they do look up to you, trust me, they do because we don't tell our parents that either, but the reality is we actually do. So just letting you
Oh,
know.
I'm gonna make you tell Maya to tell me that.
I will, don't worry, next time I see you.
Oh, I love that.
So, shifting back to high school, I feel like a lot of students want to have it all figured out at that time. But looking back, do you feel like you had to have it planned out or did you just run with the flow?
So, for me, I think I said this, like, my parents were very specific with this is going to be your journey, right? You're going to go to high school, you're going to get good grades, you're going to graduate, you're going to go to college, you're going to graduate in 4 years, and you're going to go get a job, right? So that was sort of the mentality that was set for me, the roadmap. And I don't think it was really like high school was not the place to figure that out. High school was the place to test things and try things, right? Like try and fail and figure out, hey, I might think that I'm going to, be an engineer one day, and actually you come to figure out like not really for me, and then you end up going to college and you become, a lawyer. I think it's very different. It's just very different, and I think now more than ever, based on what I'm seeing, I think that it's actually like better for young people to try and fail. There's nothing wrong with that. You actually from that, right? And I think that's the difference. I think now versus when I was growing up, I think things were pretty determined for me.
Yeah, for sure. And this is kind of some advice for all our high school listeners out there.
Mhm.
Explore as much as you can. Keep an open mind. Don't be so tunnel vision, even though you may think you know what you want to do, but you just want to, you want to keep an open mind, kind of explore because even though you may like you said, engineering, you may end up falling in love with law and it may be a completely different path for you.
That's right. Also, keep an open mind and also be very self-aware because I think sometimes deep down inside, we sort of know what we like, right? Like I told you
Yeah.
guys, even, we grew up differently, but I loved magazines. I loved magazines. I loved everything about it. I loved the experience. There was nobody coming to a career fair to tell me, "Hey, you can be in media." But I sort of followed that passion point and it sort of, it did bring me organically to a world where I get to do, magazines, social, digital, like all the experiences are very related. And somehow I have to believe that it's deep down inside, I did follow a passion point of mine right back then. So
Yep.
be self-aware.
Did you have like a career you wanted to do other than media when you were still in high school?
Yeah, I thought I was gonna be a lawyer.
Oh,
Really?
oh,
I
wow.
I always said I could argue with the best of them. I still can, and it's
My mom.
I do think that negotiate part of my job is also to negotiate. So I think that's has helped me in my career.
Okay, so now you are in college. You went to Penn State and you graduated in 2002. So when you were in college, was the plan to be in the beauty industry or did you figure that out later?
I figured that out way later. So I went to Penn State, and I didn't really know what I was gonna do. I thought in my head, like, I'm gonna have to figure out how I start law school, like, at some point, right? Because I was gonna be a lawyer. And then I sort of started to stumble into, when I was picking my classes, advertising. I actually went to Penn State for College of Communications, so I had a choice, right? I could do advertising, I could do public relations, which I would say today is very intertwined. I believe there was a few other like sort of subsets that I could do, and I chose advertising. In my head, I thought that one day I would actually take that degree and be the one working at the agencies that creates all those big campaigns. So like all those big spots, the commercials that you see on Super Bowl,
Yeah.
right? Like
Mhm.
all the big campaigns that you see, like the campaigns you guys get served when you're on social media. I thought I would be doing that. In my senior year of college, my class, the main class I took for advertising was actually that. I would create campaigns that would run,
That's
that would run in a magazine or run in like a TV spot. Beauty wasn't really part of that, right? So, come senior year, I really did think that I would be working at an agency creating a lot of these campaigns, and clearly that was not the case. But no, beauty came way later. It was really I built sort of a love for like, oh, I could do advertising. And like I said, my dad didn't really understand that. So I remember when I told him that I was going to graduate with an advertising degree, he was like, "What is that?"
Wait, how are you a Giants fan? You went to Penn State.
Whoa, 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 whoa. Okay. I knew this was gonna come up at some point. So say well, first of all, Saquon was a Giants first. Let's not
Yeah.
forget
yeah,
that.
you're right.
Yeah,
Yes.
let's not forget that. I mean, I'm a New York, New Jersey girl, right? I grew up actually, I was in Queens for a long time,
Oh, that
New
makes
York. I came to Jersey. My parents bought, their first house in the burbs. It was like, we made it. It's great. And then I went to Penn State. I will say this. My mom, it was sort of like the best choice I ever made, but I actually wanted to like leave and go to California for college. And my mom's like, absolutely
that's
not,
so far.
too far. You have to stay local. So then I was like, all right, what's the furthest I can get from New York State? So I was between Villanova and Penn State, and I did a visit during Blue and White Day, which is like their big
Oh,
pep
it's so
rally day, and that was it. That was like there was no
yeah,
other choice. I
a
was
whole
going.
nother atmosphere there. It's crazy.
It's insane. But why am I a Giants fan? I mean, I'm a New York girl at heart. I'm a New York Giants fan for
Mm,
life.
mm.
And when you guys know when Saquon went to the Eagles, my heart broke.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I remember. I remember we were asking you to give us your Saquon jersey if you had any, so we could paint it green, but we ended up
Mhm.
just getting someone with the Super Bowl patch, you know?
But earlier, I know you mentioned Villanova and Penn State were your top two options. Those are actually my two favorite schools right now. I like Villanova for their basketball and Penn State for their football. So
What?
that's
You're
really
gonna
cool.
play?
Wow!
Do
Well,
you wanna play football in Penn State?
mom won't let me play football, but I might
Exactly.
want to play basketball. So I don't know yet. I don't know yet.
So have you gone to do the visits yet?
No, but we went to this college fair at Brookdale Community College, and all those colleges were there. So we got to talk to the people
Building
about it.
relationships.
Yep.
It's a good job. I was gonna say that's very good. Again, these are things we didn't have a lot of that, right, when I was growing up. Two great schools. I would say I was very torn. Like my parents wanted me to go to Villanova. But when I went to do the school visits, and I thought Villanova was beautiful, the campus was really nice.
Yeah.
I think I just happened to go on the right day at Penn State because, like I said, it was like
Yeah.
atmosphere, pep rally, cheerleaders everywhere, the Lions jumping up and down. The whole town is like going nuts. And I just remember I was like, that's it. I'm coming here. And back then, you guys would laugh. And I don't know if you would do this now, but so when we went to, me going to college was a big deal. I was one of the first people in my family to go to college. So when we went to visit Penn State, I actually had like 15 people with me. So you have the whole like the whole
Whole
family just
entourage.
walking around. My grandmother, we're all looking around, and it's like a beautiful day. And again, it's the town's going wild. It's Blue and White Day at Penn State, and I turn around to my mom and I'm like, "This is it. I'm going to Penn State. I made my choice." And she looks at me with like a very serious face and goes, "You can't come here. You're too little. You're gonna get lost. You're gonna get lost."
That's what mom's probably gonna do to me. She'll be like, "My baby, no."
Mom wants to go to college with science,
Yeah.
so we'll see how
Oh
that
yeah,
turns out.
I could totally see Sheena getting a house
Hmm.
away, like locally, just to.
Science gonna go to Florida, and mom's gonna be living right on the outside of the campus.
Going on to some of like those real world experiences that you experienced in college, were you kind of like following what your friends were doing, or were you kind of just staying in your own path?
That's a good question. I think if I'm being really honest, I think maybe a little both. I think that, it's hard. I think you guys probably feel this now, but I think it's hard sometimes, right? To always, you know, sit and sort of like follow your own instincts and passion points and not allow yourself to be influenced. Like the way I grew up and sort of like the decisions I made were very much rooted in how I grew, how my parents raised me, what influenced me. You guys probably feel the same way. You guys were raised very differently, right, than how your parents were raised. So,
Sure.
I just kept reminding myself that my journey is just different. So so in that way, yeah, I kept sort of like a focus on what I wanted to do and what I wanted to achieve.
Yeah, for sure. I feel like most people will say like they're not influenced by anyone around them, but the reality is, I mean, everyone has some kind of influence from their environment around them.
Right.
So, I mean, yeah, so you tried your hardest to kind of stay as unique as you could, but at the same time, your surroundings are the people that are with you for 4 years. So, I mean, it's kind of hard not to be influenced by them, right?
That's right. By the way, being influenced also doesn't have to be a bad thing, right?
Mhm.
I think you can also be influenced in such positive ways. I mean, today, even as we speak, I'm very influenced by a lot of my friends, my family, people that I've known for years. That's not a bad thing, but I do think that today, I would say even today, more than when I was growing up, it's really important to keep your authenticity.
I feel like for some students, or not even students, people in general, it's hard to stay true to who they actually are because they're going to be influenced by so many people, right?
Yeah.
Through their life.
Can it be like you're kind of the influence that people have around you is kind of who you are in a way too?
Yeah. I think that's really fair. I mean, yeah, like I said, I think there's just like how you grow up, how you've experienced things, how I experience things versus how you guys have experienced things versus how like my daughter Maya is going to experience things. That defines you, right? That molds you. That sort of builds you. It starts to build your character, who you're going to become. So yeah, I think I mean we're sort of products of influence, right? In a way.
Yeah.
But I think it's always the dance, right? Is that how do we allow ourselves to be influenced in positive ways that will allow us to be even, be better people versus influence in a way that takes away from that foundation.
Okay, so let's say I'm a student and I have an opportunity in front of me, but I'm just scared to do it. What would be your signal to just tell them to stop waiting and just go for it?
Well, first, I would first start. May I ask, why would you be scared? What's scaring you about it?
Probably the boss, and just if you mess up, you're probably going to be very embarrassed and scared and not want to do it again.
So let me tell you a little story. My first real job out of college, um, when I was able to get into media. I had a job before actually graduated. I don't know if I told you guys this story, but I graduated during 9/11.
Uh,
So it was I couldn't, like, I sent my resume out to a million companies. Again, like I thought I was going to be doing advertising campaigns, like the creative stuff, and no one would hire me. But when I first got my first media job in New York City, it was actually with TV Guide. You guys probably do not know what that is, and I would not expect you to know what that is. But
nope,
back
not at all.
then, it was a little guide that told you what TV shows were on at what time. Go ask your parents about that.
Can't you just
But
hit the guide button on the remote?
all right, well, they didn't have it back then. So anyway, it's my first job out of college, and I was an assistant, and my job was to basically do expenses, get coffee, like make sure that made lunch reservations for my bosses. I worked for 5 people, and I'll never forget, it was my second week, and had to do expenses for one of my bosses. And back then, expenses, you literally had to tape the receipts individually on a piece of paper, and then you had to go and scan it,
Wow.
fax
Oh,
it. Oh, it was a thing, guys.
That's amazing.
Long story short is I messed up and apparently I forgot one of the pieces of papers that had receipts got stuck in the printer. I didn't realize it. I put the expense report together and I put it on my boss's desk. And I guess an hour later, my boss comes over and puts the remaining receipts that I got stuck in the printer on my desk, and basically was not very nice. I went home crying that day,
oh no.
telling my mom that I was done and that I did not want to work here. That I like I was humiliated. I was screamed at in front of everybody over expenses. I literally was like, this is ridiculous. Like I've never, and expecting my mom to be like, it's okay, you can quit. Like nobody should be talking to you that way. My mom basically was like, suck it up. You're going back. and you're going to figure this out because it's your job. But um, I had to suck it up because I can't control how people, operate on a day to day, but I can control how I show up. And I went back and it took months, but I earned my boss's trust. And when I resigned to go on to my first big company which is Hearst, that was my first big media company where I was at Cosmopolitan for years. This boss was my biggest advocate and champion.
Wow.
That
Yeah,
that kind of goes back to what you were saying about building character, right?
that's right. That's right.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I manage a big team, and I believe that, you can be a great leader and a mentor and get the best work out of your people, and it does not require yelling. However, I think there is something about poise and just knowing that you cannot control how people are. People are people, and people are going to sort of react and respond in ways that you might not always agree with, but you can control how you show up. And, there's sort of like there's an ability to be poised and also be very calm in situations like that. And how you respond back to people, right, will sort of, I think, mold you for future interactions that you're just going to realize that this is the world. This is real world. Like, you're going to deal with people that are not nice. You're going to deal with people that are not going to treat you right, but it's how you show up.
Yeah, for sure. And going to when you moved on in your career from that company, you're now at a point where you're working at Cosmopolitan, where you launched Cosmo for Latinas and Refinery 29. You've launched Dot Dash, and now you're the CRO at People Inc. So that's, I mean, a lot of ground that you covered in that time. So I just want to take a second to talk about Cosmo for Latinas because you built that brand from scratch, from literally nothing for honestly a very overlooked audience in general. So I mean, what was it like to build that brand from the ground up and to, gain the trust of other people that this was going to work out?
Yeah. So I will say I definitely can't take full credit for that. That was a team effort. When I worked at Cosmo, I had an incredible leadership team like the smartest women that I've ever worked for. And we as a team saw that there was a real gap, right, in the media space at the time when we looked around, and when you looked at publications, magazines, again, like media outlets, Hispanic women were not very well represented.
Yeah.
And we saw an opportunity to bring on, at the time, our editor for Cosmo for Latinas, Michelle Herrera, was amazing. And we thought, this could be a really great opportunity to take what was Cosmo as a brand, a trusted brand with young women, and really double down on, the opportunity to showcase Latina women, right? And the beauty of Latina women and the stories of Latina women. And it was an incredible thing to have been part of and to see. And frankly, I would say, at the time, we were one, I think, of four magazines that launched to speak to Hispanic women. And that just showed you back in, not that that's changed. I think it's just as important today to have representation of all communities. But back then it was critical because we didn't really have it. So it was amazing to be part of that.
Yeah, for sure. And what can that teach teens about spotting a gap and actually taking action on that? Because, I mean, I'm sure you guys see that too. Like, a lot of people have ideas, but no one really acts on it. I feel
Yeah.
like it just stays as an idea in their head. So, I mean, what lessons can teens take away from that, from this creation of yours and the group of people that created it with you?
Well, I think first off, I would say speak up, right? A lot of times, young people, young kids, young teens, they have such great ideas, but they don't tell anyone. So I would say figure out how to tell your stories, your ideas. And I think, today versus when I was growing up, there are so many people around us that want to help. People that, maybe sit in organizations and companies and or in positions that can help tell or like tell the stories, or actually like inspired by the idea and help you figure out, okay, what does this look like? So I would say speak up. It's super important to share your ideas, tell your stories.
Yeah, and I also feel like you were mentioning speaking up after you have an idea. I feel like you should also write it down because every time I'm in the shower, I have an idea, but then I go downstairs, I think of it, and then I just can't remember it at all. So I just think writing it down also helps so that you still have it there.
Absolutely. Do you guys have so I don't have it anymore. I'm such a laptop person now, so I take all my notes on my laptop, but when I was growing up, I used to have a notebook. Like it
Mm,
was like my
yeah.
go-to notebook and I would write down and jot things down and sort of lived by it. Do you guys have that?
I mean,
No.
I just
yeah,
use my notes app on my phone.
yeah.
Okay.
I have a little notebook that my dad got from some conference or whatever. I just keep it with a pen.
And you can totally tell me I'm being an old person right now, but get a notebook, keep it by your desk. And I'm telling you, as these ideas or thoughts just come to your head, just jot it down. Just jot it down. You'll
Yeah.
have a reference to go back. You might not do anything with it for months, but you might be surprised after, a year and you look at your notes, there might be something there that you're just like, you know what, this today is the day that I'm gonna act on this.
Yeah,
That's
for
not
sure.
even that's not a bad idea.
I know.
So we always like to end our podcast with one final question for our guest. And that is, what is your definition of success and how has it changed from your high school days to today?
Wow, guys, that's a great question.
Very deep.
Ooh, okay. Well, first, I would say it's 100% changed since I was in high school because I didn't, you really don't know, right? So, back to what we were saying, your influence. So, back then, I was very influenced and I really believed that success is money, right? Like, the more money you have, the more
Yeah.
successful you are. Um, and, travel and all the luxuries. Again, I saw how hard my parents worked and I was like, I want more and I want more for me and my family and my kids. I would say that I'd be lying if I said that that's still not part of it, but it's just changed, right? And it's changed that it's not about me and oh, how much money I can make or how many trips I can take in a year. It's experience. It's the experience that I can give my kids, right? I think success is really defined by what makes you happy. And if I can wake up in the morning after a really hard day at work or a bad week at work and things are happening with the kids and Tom's job is going nuts and if I can still wake up in the morning and be like, "Oh my gosh, like I'm so blessed with everything I have today because I worked hard. I've got two healthy kids. I've got, my husband, I've got my family." Like success is what you make of it. And to me, if someone back then told me that success was very much going to be defined and anchored in my happiness because I feel very blessed to have my family with me and I'm blessed to do a job that I actually really like. I wouldn't have known. So to me, I think happiness to say that my success is anchored in my family.
Yeah, money doesn't buy happiness.
It does not.
All right. So we always give a chance for our guests to kind of like turn the tables a bit. Do you have any questions for us?
Yes, I do. Well, first off, I was going to say thank you for having me because this has been such a treat. I don't really get to just let my hair down and just, have an honest conversation. So thank you guys. This has been great. But I have a question for you guys because I think this is a conversation that is actually comes up a lot. So, as you all know, I manage a big team and I manage young talent. So, I think that there is every generation, I think, that has gone into the workforce has a different experience, right? I always say like COVID changed a lot of that.
Yeah.
And I'm having a hard time right now with really young talent that doesn't want to come into the office.
Mm.
Now, I know you guys aren't necessarily in the workforce yet, but I'm curious if you guys have an opinion about careers and office and being remote and convenience. And, I'm curious if those conversations happen at your right now where you
Yeah, I
guys.
mean, I think I could see why they don't want to go to the office because obviously it's more convenient to just stay at home and do the work from home. But on the other side of that, I also do see why you would want them to come into the office because that face to face interaction is nothing like being on the phone and, just having a call, right? Like you want to actually get to understand their emotions and what's going on and like have a genuine conversation and just not hide behind a screen all day. So I mean, I do think personally that it's more valuable to be in the office than just be behind a screen. However, I do see the reasoning behind why they would want to be behind a screen because it's just more convenient.
Yeah, it's also like the different generations that we live in. Like, or the older generations might want to be more at the office more because of that face to face interaction, but because we've been so connected with their devices and technology, like phones, texting, FaceTiming, calling, I feel
Mhm.
like it's more that our generation just wants to stay at home and then use technology to communicate to others.
And I feel like what changed that was COVID because during COVID, everybody was just virtual learning. Everything was on the computers. And I feel like that's carried on throughout the years of school.
That's right. I couldn't agree more. COVID changed a lot. But let me ask you guys this. You all play soccer, yeah?
Yep.
Yeah.
Okay. How often do you practice?
Twice a week.
In person?
Yeah.
So what would happen if you could not practice in person? And all the coaching and the skill set building happened remotely. Like literally your coach would just be telling you, okay, over the screen, go kick this ball this way. You're
It
not
would
running.
be
I would not
terrible.
like
We would
that.
not know what we're doing because also it's like if your coach is there, he could show you what you're doing wrong because he's right there for you.
Yeah.
So
So
then you can get a more honest feedback and stuff.
that's right. So that is the main reason why I think managers, and I'm one of them, believes in the in-office connectivity because it's a very different way to build skills than just being over the phone on a computer saying, hey, what if you tried it this way? Or, hey, what about this idea versus being in person and being able to problem solve in real time with your people. That to me is the main difference of why in-office connectivity is important. And my wish, I hope, and I think every generation's different, but it's like the one thing that I keep trying to instill in young talent. It's like, yes, I know it's convenient to do this. Trust me, I'm tired. I've been commuting my whole life. I would nothing more than just to be able to do this all the time, but I don't think it's the thing that will drive success and outcomes for people. And I always attribute it back to the same thing. If you're an athlete and you did not have that coaching in real time in person, would you be the same athlete you are today?
All right.
Right?
All right. Thank you so much for coming on to our podcast. We really enjoyed having you.
I loved being here. Thanks, guys.
You guys can find us on Instagram, YouTube, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, TikTok, Threads, Facebook, and LinkedIn. So go follow, like, comment, everything
Just
on social
interact.
media. Yep. We are the Future 3 Podcast, and we out. Peace.
Peace.